Hey, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Live with Kenny, a special, basically a weekly update where we have Kenny Martin, our city manager, here with us to basically update us on all the good stuff that is happening in Mount Juliet today. And today we're going to try to talk about back to school, new businesses, and update on the Greenway. So thank you for all who are joining. Karen, welcome here, and glad you're joining all the way from Memphis, Tennessee. I guess you maybe have some connection to Mount Juliet, but we're glad you're joining us. There are another 82 of you watching right now. We're glad that you're here. We hope you stay through the entire presentation. And Kenny, it's always good to see you. How is your Friday going?
Man, it's absolutely beautiful. The weather's great. I think a little bit of a chance of rain today, less this weekend, and I know everybody's excited about the weekend.
Yeah, it's looking forward to this weekend. Next week, I'm actually going to try to go on vacation. We will see how that goes. So I will miss you next week, but it's good to see you Friday, and I'm glad we're able to get this locked in. So Wilson County students go back to school. It's interesting. We have our two tornado destroyed schools moving students to Mount Juliet Middle. We also have the Green Hill High School opening up. So how is that going to go for our community?
Great. I hope. I know that the high school, it's not being used at all like what we thought it was going to be originally, opened up as a brand new high school. But the good thing is, thank goodness that school was in place because with the other two schools getting hit by the tornado, I know that Dr. Wright and Mickey Hall and the school board and the school teachers have been working so hard. I've been walking a little bit this week, just out beating the path, driving around town, checking in on the schools. And with what those teachers and the students and the staff at the main office are going through, I just can't even imagine. You'd like to say that you think you could understand, but we've all been through a lot, of course, since March. But trying to get this many kids back into school and the nervousness and all, I'm just so proud of them. I know this is happening throughout the state, but in this community in particular that was struck so hard with the tornadoes, I just can't imagine. But saw something really precious yesterday. I was walking by the Mount Juliet Middle School, and they were doing I guess it was some type of introduction drive-by kind of parade thing, and you could see all the moms and dads and the kids, and of course the signage they've put up, and I guess the parents, a lot of the faculty and students standing out in the parking lot and handing out bottles of water and waving at people. That did my heart really good, and just really proud of our teachers out there and our students.
Yeah, absolutely. We had the chance for public safety. Chief and I, we went up to Green Hill High School, met with Principal Kevin Dawson, and he gave us a tour of the school along with members of our SRT and our other officers, just so they can be aware of how the school is constructed safety wise in case we ever should need to respond out there. But it's a absolutely beautiful school, a great addition to our community, a really great addition for that area on Lebanon Road, which I'm sure will further future growth in that area. But it's great to see, and then everyone at the school, the teachers, the faculty, the principals, did a fabulous job with that school. But we're ready for back to school too. Our officers are ready. We're geared up, and we're going to be in those school zones to ensure that they get the attention that they need, so everyone is driving safely.
Yeah, you and I were talking about that earlier. We had a couple of parents that had reached out to us. In particular, one of the subdivisions was Hickory Hills, and
Right.
I always worry about the kiddos, of course, at the school bus stops and things of that nature. And I know the police department works hard to keep folks safe, but can't emphasize enough to people out there listening to spread to your neighbors and other people. It's hard to get our heads back into school because we've been out for so long. But to remind the parents or just people out there motoring around to be looking out for these school bus stops and these kids walking to school or to their school bus stops, or just the additional traffic or school buses on the streets. We need to get our minds back wrapped around that so we know to be extra safe. And the stopping for the school buses, if it's a divided highway by grass, don't have to stop. If it's divided by asphalt or painted lines, you've got to stop if you approach a school bus.
Yeah, absolutely. And just we want folks to be mindful too that with Mount Juliet Middle School, since it's with additional uh, students going there from different schools, they have different start times throughout the day. So there will be 2 school zone periods in the morning and 2 school zone periods in the afternoon. And Public Works, specifically Brandon Lee, has been very helpful in checking all the school zone signals to ensure the timing is working well. We had a issue with the MJCA school zone this week, and Brandon immediately got on it to fix the timing because their timing's a little bit different on Fridays. And so he went in and adjusted that timing. So we appreciate him for working with us to ensure those school zone beacons are flashing when they need to.
Absolutely, yeah. And if anybody sees anything out there, or whatever, I know that they can reach out to you, Captain. But you can send me a note here or whatever. If something
Right.
seems to be working right, a loop sensor or one of the traffic signals or any issues that you may see out there, let us know and we'll get on and get that corrected.
Yeah, we rely on our community so much to let us know when stuff is wrong, because we, of course, can't be everywhere at once. Our own officers can't be everywhere at once. And if we get a report from the community, it really allows us to jump on it as quick as we can to ensure it's fixed. So for all of you who report stuff to us, thank you so much. And it's very, very helpful. And if you see something, I always like to say something so we can ensure it gets fixed. Never think that something is not important, because if there's something wrong, I know it's important to me. I know it's important to you too, Kenny. So we appreciate
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, Representative Lynn called me this morning. She was sitting at the light at Benton Douglas, which comes off of North Green Hill now at the light, and she said, "I'm not sure it's working right, because of the sensor." So we made sure we got some out there to look at it. So we appreciate her reaching out to us as well.
Yeah, always looking after our community. That's fantastic. Speaking about community, we are a growing community. Always, we of course have Amazon being built, and I don't know if you've driven by there at night, but the lights in it to me are kind of beautiful. It's just neat to see all those lights in that steel structure at night, but also the American flag that they have draped from it. But we continue to grow, so let's talk about growth and new businesses and what's on the horizon for our community.
Well, we know the unemployment rate, is probably right around 10% right now, of course, and it's hopefully continuing to drop. It was way up there around 20 for a while there, getting it back down lower. And of course, with Amazon coming, they're bringing 1,000 jobs just about Juliet.
Wow.
But they also just announced this week they're going to be bringing filling some existing space, I guess, in a new building that's out on Richard Petty Way, which is at the Speedway.
Okay.
A lot of people may not realize not only is the track coming back, but there was quite a few acres out there, about 1,200 acres, and I believe that they're going to take some of that acreage. They're adding additional buildings out there, and so Amazon's going to be doing another facility out there. So you'll have new jobs there, new jobs in Laverne for Amazon, and 1,000 jobs here in Mount Juliet. So hopefully that'll help with, at least here in Wilson County and Middle Tennessee, with some of the unemployment. But I will tell folks out there, listen, if you know somebody that needs a job, there's a lot of jobs open right here in Mount Juliet, Tennessee, or in Wilson County. So look in your own backyard before you have to go into Nashville or something like that. A lot of good jobs. SEVA's going to be rebuilding their facility. That'll bring a lot of jobs back to Mount Juliet as well.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that question. You brought it up, but like I drive around, I see a lot of folks hiring, right? And some even restaurants can't even open up properly because they don't have the staff to open up properly. And it just makes me wonder, and it thinks I'm glad to see that unemployment's down, but unemployment could be down even lower if we got these jobs filled like we need to. And that's just good for our community. It's always good when we still have people hiring, because that means if people want to work, they have that opportunity to work.
Yeah, and be patient with some of the business. For example, like Slotsky's Deli, they're having a tough time of getting enough help. And so what's happening is they're not able to stay open as late in the day as they'd wish to. So sometimes you may go by there and they may close at 4 o'clock or just be operating the drive-through. And so we appreciate the patronage that folks are giving to those businesses that are even struggling without being able to get to full staff. There's new businesses opening all the time. I know that some of the calls I've got lately have been a little concerning, because of the economy and COVID. We've lost some businesses, and we'll lose some more. We'll end up losing Chuck E. Cheese. We've already though got somebody looking at that building, which is exciting. Same for Pier 1. There was a bankruptcy there, so we'll be losing that. Everybody's losing those, of course, and the Chuck E. Cheese. But the exciting thing, not that when that happens there's anything exciting about it, but what's exciting is we're in Mount Juliet, Tennessee, and as soon as something goes vacant, even in this business environment right now and with the pandemic, we're getting people that immediately call, or we're reaching out to saying, hey, would you be interested in this building? A perfect example of that, Lane Bryant will be closing in Providence, and also Justice. Mm-hmm. When you speak upon management over there or speak to them, they'll tell you that they were never great performers. Men's Warehouse is doing well here, and some of the men's warehouse across the country are closing. The JCPenney here is doing exceptionally well, so it's good. So when you hear those things, I understand the concern. Don't get overly concerned, because we'll hopefully quickly be able to fill those spots.
Sure.
For example, Logan's is a perfect example. It closed, and now we've got ML Rose going in there. Right. We've got another tenant looking at the other side of the building. And then when you think of the little building that was remodeled beside the Exxon station, and that building alone, there's a brand new subway going in, and of course it closed in Paddocks. Of course, in the Paddocks location, where the bagels place is where the bagels place is going now, so, which is exciting that there's a business going in that. The subway relocates across the road, and the only other vacant space that was in that building beside it is now going to be filled up with it's a new concept here in Tennessee, but they're in New York and California, and it's called Bubba Koo. So if you can picture Bubba with KOO after that, burrito. It's a really neat thing, a lot like a Chipotle.
Okay.
So it's going to be going in that building right beside Exxon that was remodeled, and that's actually a great location because of its proximity to the interstate.
Oh yeah.
And for folks that think it's tough to get out, just go a little further down and come out by the side by Arby's, closest to Arby's, if you're familiar with that. But they should start their build out soon, along with Subway. And then I've got also, of course, ML Rose. We've got at least 2 daycares coming in with another to start. We've got the Capstone that should start soon on Mount Jet Road, and also you've got the assisted living facility across the street from Two Rivers Ford. The city also just approved, which is exciting news. I want to thank our Board of Commissioners and Two Rivers Ford for partnering with the city of Mount Juliet. Two Rivers Ford is stepping up and partnering with the city to add a turn lane in front of Two Rivers Ford if you go east. Because if you're familiar with that now, you've got a right decel lane for turning off to the right, but the 2 inside lanes, one of those sometimes gets queued up a little bit because of people waiting to turn. Well, there's going to be a turning lane added there.
Oh, fantastic.
Two Rivers Ford's partnering with the city. We passed that on first reading this past Monday.
Right.
That'll help a lot with traffic, so it keeps that traffic flowing. So excited about that. And I've also got some parks projects that we're working on. We're excited about that. Some properties that we're considering. But one of the biggest thing is, and I can't announce yet what it is, but we've got a company that we met with this week. And out of all the places they could have looked at in Tennessee, they looked at Franklin, they looked at Nashville, and looked at Mount Juliet. And we think they're going to settle on Mount Juliet. They would need somewhere between 200 and 500 acres. And I can tell you that if we're able to pull this off our community, I think it'd be a big win for us and something that people would really be excited about, because not only what this project is, and I know it's a bit of a teaser, but what it could bring with it. So for folks out there that's worried from the nervousness that you see on the news every day, and you're worried about the economy, I am too. I get worried about that as well. But the one thing good is if you live in Mount Juliet, Tennessee, or in the vicinity, especially like in Wilson County, you're in a really good position right now, because even though there's some things going on in the country that concern me, of course, the economy concerns me and unemployment rate, but we're going to beat this pandemic. We're going to beat this COVID, and we're going to be perfectly situated as a community because of the people that's out there watching, and the people like yourself and other people in this community that have made it such a great place. I literally feel like there's going to be a wave of folks wanting to come to places like Mount Juliet, Tennessee. So we're going to prosper and do quite well.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And I think even with sales tax, we didn't see quite the loss in sales tax that we thought, right? We actually saw a good rise in it.
That's exactly right. Yep.
So that's good to know too. So financially, it seems like we're pretty good at the moment.
I'm trying to work on an auto parts store for the Providence area. It's always been a request that people wanted that. And what's made it tough in the past is that the rent rates were so high, you just couldn't afford to either buy the property because it was too high. But now that there's some spaces freeing up, that's the opportunity when you come in and say, hey, instead of $30 a square foot with triple net, can you do 15 with triple net? So now you're around 18, 20 bucks a square foot to rent a space. So you think about that. That's a $10 drop for some folks. That enables us sometimes to fit those niche businesses in there. For example, a car wash that's down on 70 close to the county line, it's been closed for some times. We've got an O'Reilly auto parts store that's going to be going in there.
Oh, great.
And you may say to yourself, yeah, but there's an auto parts store just right up the road. As a matter of fact, there's 3. Well, you know what? If somebody wants to come in and build a brand new brick and mortar store and add employees to our roster, hey, we'll take them. And that tells me that there's a desire for folks to come out of Donaldson, Hermitage, and Old Hickory to patronize our businesses here in Mount Juliet.
Right. But at least it also cleans up that spot where that just an empty parking lot with a deteriorating car wash, right?
That's exactly right. Give you an example. If you're familiar where the bike shop is, just right beside Burger King on Lebanon Road, there's a vacant lot to the right of that. And the property owner there, which he's got 2 wonderful tenants, wants to add another business to the end of that center. And if you think about it, not only does it clean up that lot and block some things that are behind it, but it creates a business. It creates employees. It creates, synergy for that area. And we've already got sidewalks going in there. So if you go all the way up as far as, say, for example, Taco Bell and Kentucky Fried Chicken, that little building that's just to the side of it there, it's probably a $2 or $3 million project sitting right there. And so it'll bring new employees, and it separates the Kentucky Fried Chicken from the Taco Bell. Plus, it cleans up that spot. Right. So again, it creates more synergy. And it's sort of like we call it the build-a-block. You have one business come, and then somebody says, well, I want to be next to that. For example, the high school, now that it's open and sidewalks run that far down, and you've got the traffic signal there, we're already getting interest in those out parcels. So Lebanon Road's going to really be beautified and enhanced in a lot of ways in the future just because of other projects that are coming.
Right. That's awesome. I have some few questions, so I just want to jump in on these questions now instead of the end because it has to do with what we're talking about. But Mr. Let's see here. There's one here from Andrew about Green Hill High School. Is it complete and ready? And Andrew, it is about ready. It's about 95%. It's ready enough that they're going to reopen it. I know there's a section that there's still construction going on and some athletic fields that they're still working on, but it is good to go and it will open up Monday with students. Charlotte's talking about the Christmas store. She is obviously excited about that. I think we're all waiting for that to be complete, and it's nice to see the frame up with that. Do you
Yeah.
have an idea on completion?
Yeah, they were going to try to have that open by Christmas of this year, and as you can imagine, they literally purposely slowed the project down. There were some rumors they were pulling out or something went wrong. What went wrong actually was, the tornado didn't help, of course, and they were waiting for our community to sort of rebuild and catch our breath. But also, when the pandemic came shortly thereafter in March, they said, you know what, let's just not rush it. We want it to be right. When you think about if you opened up this Christmas, the mindset might not be right. So they are still on task to open probably sometime next year. If I was speculating, probably June.
Yeah, that's good. That's not
So
far off.
it's later than we had hoped and anticipated, but as you can tell, that building's going to be absolutely beautiful, and the bell tower that's there, real sound, and also will be lit up. And I will tell folks out there that love Christmas. I love Christmas. What they're going to do in the downtown area, in particular with the business center across the street, because of the partnership, what they'll do decoration wise in the downtown district for Christmas will blow you away. It's going to be absolutely beautiful.
That's awesome. And that whole downtown area now, I guess Division Mount Juliet Road area is a total transformation.
Yep.
It really is. And I think in probably around June, July of next year, it'll look totally different from what we see it today. And it'll be very, very beautiful.
Kat, when some people mentioned our downtown districts, we never really had a downtown because it wasn't your typical square. If you will recall, not too many years back, there's a few folks that snickered and laughed and said, oh, yeah, sure, whatever. Remember when we created the downtown Mount Juliet and then Northtown, and then we're going to do something similar. We're thinking about making Highway 70 down at the county line where it's Old Hickory. We're thinking about calling that West Mount Juliet or something like that, if that makes sense, because a lot of those folks, in a way, their identity is sort of a little bit awkward because it's like, well, we're in Oak Hickory, but we're in Mount Juliet, Tennessee. So if you called it West Mount Juliet and gave it sort of a hip name, so we're looking at some things for Lebanon Road. But as you can tell, a few years later, look at what we've done with our downtown.
Sure.
You're now starting to see with the clock tower, Vintage Station North, the little parks, the business community, and all the businesses in downtown are doing great. And then even the businesses on the north end, closer to Sebia, like Slim Chickens, they're doing a wonderful job. And that sends big messages to the business community outside here about coming here. And I can tell you, hang on to your hats. There's some more exciting news coming with some businesses that our citizens have been asking for years, because they know it's a great place to be.
Awesome. And the next two questions kind of, I think, go in hand, but one is about Class A office space, and the other is Central Pike exit at I-40. And the reason I say they probably go in hand is related to the new Providence Central that was developed. I think that will accelerate likely the Central Pike interchange, if I'm correct.
Yeah, we were told and advised by the state that, with all that's going on here, when you think of Amazon and other things and businesses are coming to our county now, if we could get the right development to go in at Providence Central, it could hopefully expedite the Central Pike interchange. And our elected body and our state representatives and senators and all, they've done such a good job of us and staff working together with the state to do the engineering, right-of-way design, environmental, all those things at the city's expense, so that we sort of got skin in the game with the state. Well, I feel honestly, now that the city's approved Providence Central, and and a lot of folks felt like it was just apartments, that's only 20 acres of a 200-acre site that we know of, and there's additional acres around there. Well, part of that requirement was they had to do a Class A office building pad, which means you're creating a spot for a Class A office to go. And I can tell you that I'm working right now myself with one developer that wants to build an all office, medical office building that would be 75,000 square feet.
Wow.
Well, having a pad there definitely makes that a very attractive site for them. Whether or not that happens for them, I don't know. But as an old saying is, if you don't have a spot to put somebody, then you're not in the game. So to be in the white collar business climate for us is a good thing. And another thing with the pandemic, a lot of businesses are now having people work from home. So the days of needing 200,000 square foot office buildings, to have all your staff housed there, they may split that in half or even smaller to to have a smaller footprint. Some staff would work at home. With those that have to work at the office, so that makes sense. You need what? A brand new pad somewhere. You don't want to try to rent less space in the same building you're in, because that may not be a possibility necessarily because of leasing. So we're perfectly situated literally to have lots of exciting things happen in Class A office.
That's awesome. And we have a question here about what is on Woodridge across from LZ Patton. I believe that's a new church. Do you know what church is going in there?
Yep, it's a new Coptic church, and when it's said and done, it's going to be absolutely a beautiful church, not only outside but on the inside of what they do, how ornate and all it is. But that's we can refer to that section through there as School and Church Row. It's just going to be beautiful. So it's not a business necessarily to generate a lot of traffic, but it'd be a beautiful facility.
Yeah, I did hear it's going to be absolutely beautiful. So we're looking forward to that. And of course, love to see a Whataburger. I agree with Rookie. I would love to see a Whataburger too. So.
Well, let me tell Rookie that they are actually looking at a space right now in the Providence area.
Okay.
Yes, if you think about it, for a long time, Whataburger really didn't do a lot of business here, nor did some other restaurants like In-N-Out Burger. But Whataburger wants to be in Mount Juliet, Tennessee, and they've got a site in mind, along with also Chicken Salad Chick for folks that like it. They've got a letter of intent here in Mount Juliet. But again, a lot of things that have been slowed down because of the pandemic as everybody's taking a deep breath and they're not moving as quick. But every day that we get a little closer to recovery, teaming up, working together to beat this pandemic and keep each other safe and happy and healthy, quicker we get to some of these businesses, we won't get our lives back to normal.
Well, that's good news to hear. I'm glad to hear we're pulling strings on Whataburger. So let's talk about, again, continued growth, continued beautification for our community, but the Greenway update on Town Center Greenway.
Yeah, that's real close. It's really, literally, for the most part, it's complete. Now we're in the beautification stage. We got a few things to button up on some cross-access issues, for example, like at the cemetery. We got to finish up ADA requirements, things of that nature, seeding and strawing, clearing up some debris, we got construction materials, but it's there and does my heart good when I come in. Yet, and the flags aren't put up yet. Some of the electrical's not installed yet. The parking blocks aren't at Eagle Park, that's going to really button it up and make it look good. Some of the signage isn't in place. But one thing neat about the signage is there. I encourage people to look at it. The signs that you see with some of the directional type of thing, or that may have some comments and some verbiage on, look at those real closely. Those signposts are actually railroad tracks that have been installed into the ground and the signs attached to it. So the signposts are actually railroad rails.
Neat.
So it's just a lot of neat little touches about that. So when it's all done, but for the most part, it's open, ready to use. Just be extra careful. Still may be some construction material. They still haven't put the bollards at the end of the post where they have cross drives so that cars know not to go down them. Those will be installed shortly as well. And we'll get the flags in and things of that nature at the Eagle Park. But it's ready to rock and roll. And that's what makes other sections of town that we're adding greenways to, because the hope is eventually you can walk just about anywhere in this city and be connected to a greenway somewhere.
Sure. And then folks who are down that greenway can easily get on their bike or walk and run or whatever and ride down to the new downtown area of Mount Juliet and grab food, ice cream, whatever it may be.
Yeah, we'll give you an example since we're talking about greenways. The new development is going in off of Clemens Road over there by Ethan Page Park. Mm-hmm. That development's got to connect all the way down to the RTA parking lot, which is where our current greenway starts for the West Division Trail. Well, from that development, it's got to go over to Hibbett Station, which is on Golden Bear, and then that one's got to connect to the one at Jackson Hills. So part of the requirements for these developments is one's got to connect to the other, and before you know it, you can see how quick and easy it'd be for a development to connect in all kinds of different places. That's what's good about these sections of sidewalk that get added, is that ultimately they connect to everything. So that's exciting. I mean, you can walk a lot of places in Mount Juliet, even if it's just right on Mount Juliet Road.
That's awesome. Absolutely. And are there any other projects on the horizon with parks and greenways, anything like that coming up?
Yeah, even as small as it may be, I sort of consider our little truck display up on Mount Juliet Road a little bit of a park. There's going to be, for example, a memorial sign going there real soon. It's symbolic because it's basically to recognize the tornado that struck our city on March the 3rd. It's just a unique place where maybe somebody can go to reflect, because that was right in sort of, I guess you'd say, where the tornado struck. It's in that general area. It came right through there. It destroyed 2 schools and unfortunately took 3 precious lives in our community, and then impacted so many other people in multiple ways with homes and traumatized and, memories they don't want to reflect upon. So we're trying to create just some little place you can go sometime if it's just a place to swing, where there's an Eagle Scout that's going to do a pavilion there, which is going to be really nice. We're going to do the signage there. And then there's a resident that reached out to us recently that unfortunately lost her husband about, I believe, 3 to 5 years ago. Precious lady, lives down off of Lebanon Road. And he apparently had a huge collection of cars and old automobile memorabilia, like signs and things of that nature. Well, she loved what we did with the truck display. And when the tornado struck that display, it destroyed her pump, and we tried to beat it out the best we could, and it took our car off, if everybody remembers that. Well, a local business person donated a truck. We dedicated that to somebody in our community, Mr. Oko Hamlin.
Right.
And then this precious lady reached out to us, and she's donated a awesome gas pump, and awesome the old air pressure stations, if you can remember the old gas stations years ago, and also a oil reservoir, and they all have Texaco on them. And what's neat about it, so it'll make that display pop even more. So when you have a wedding up there, or a proposal, or kids are taking pictures up there by their families for Christmas cards, whatever it may be, as we all see happening, it just makes it that much better. So to me, even though it seems like a minor thing, it's not. It's just another enhancement in our community. So you're going to see more of that, more of the parks. We got a new fire station that's going to be coming. We got a new fire truck that'll be coming at some point. The fire station basically should go to bid here real soon for right at Green Hill High School. And those are things to me that are enhancements, safety enhancements, beautification enhancements. So look for more and more of those kind of things going in your community all across the city.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of safety enhancements, the RFP is going out, I think, very soon on the building expansion and hardening of our headquarters here at the police department. So that's nice to see. We appreciate our elected officials for supporting that and pushing that forward. So, there's a lot of good things happening right now, and that's awesome to see for our community. There's a lot of good in a more dark time for our nation, right, with COVID and the tornado that happened. And it just amazes me is what we'll see once we get through this, which we are. We're going to get through COVID.
Yeah.
It's just amazing where our community is going to blossom to once we see that. So that's great. And I appreciate all those great updates.
Well, how you respond to adversity and tragedy sometimes, we're always doing good things in this city, but as anybody knows, how you respond during a tragedy and even after the tragedy to make yourself better.
Yeah.
And again, kudos to our citizens, kudos to our staff. I mean, I know plenty of people that put storm bunkers in, tornado shelters in, hardened dispatch facilities, hardened police facilities that we're working on now. And you think, well, why didn't you do it before? Well, sometimes it takes you being impacted to where you think the investment is worth it. So if you, again, what you learn from that and how it makes you better is a good thing. In our community, even though we had to go through a lot of tragedy, we'll come out of that better and even more united than we ever were. And that's what I love about it. The things we're doing now, instead of, laying down, our city we girthed up basically and said, hey, we're going to make ourselves even better. No matter what's going on in this country, we can't control anything beyond the city limits of Mount Juliet, but we're going to do everything we can to make it better together.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that quote, Kenny. And I was reading the Chronicle yesterday. It was in the house, and I was looking at it. And there's an article in there by Trey. I'm not going to say his last name right, but Suey. He was just a contributor, I think, a letter to the editor. And he talks about Mount Juliet and different points why it's great. But you're quoted in there with that quote you just mentioned, where we can take care of ourselves here and each other in Mount Juliet a lot better than we can focus nationally. So focus locally was basically the point of your quote, and that wasn't it verbatim, but it was just an awesome article to read. But again, to reflect on that quote coming from you, just about how we can we focus on each other here, it really leads to a lot of great things locally in Mount Juliet.
Exactly.
I want to give a plug to our Wilson County 911 and Smart 911. I noticed Karen Moore, she's the Wilson County 911 director, who's working very hard to ensure our 911 process in Wilson County works well. And her and the board really, really do work hard to ensure that 911 works. But one program that they do have that she wanted me to mention was smart911.com. And basically what that is, it allows someone to go in and register their information attached to a phone number. So when that phone number calls 911, that information is immediately populated for the 911 call taker and also our dispatchers here at the police department and fire department to provide extra information. There's times when we may receive a 911 call and not hear anything on the other end, but there could be an emergency. And so by signing up on Smart 911, it provides necessary information so someone knows exactly where to look should there be a true emergency. Sometimes we just hear screaming on the other line and have no clue where to go. And, signing up for Smart 911 helps with that. So I encourage everyone to go to smart911.com, register your information, and provide that to our Wilson County 911. It just makes things a lot safer for you there. So thanks for that plug, and thanks for letting me put that in there, Kenny. But so I guess we'll go ahead and get to some questions. I saw more coming in here. There's one here about West Wilson Middle School and what progress is being made. I know it's not our responsibility. It's really Wilson County Schools, and I know there were some delays with insurance with that, but do you maybe have any idea on progress there?
Yeah, and I mean, of course, I talk to the school officials quite often because residents call on me and they're curious too. Hey, why isn't it started? They're supposed to start June 1st on Stoner Creek and West Wilson Middle School, and unfortunately, you imagine all the moving parts and the size of those schools, and not only the size of schools, we've still got some homeowners that still hadn't settled up with their insurance companies, and that's unfortunate. So we were actually, I think supposed to be having a meeting coming up with some folks out of the state of Tennessee to see what we can do to correct some of that. It's heart wrenching when you think of people still living in hotel rooms and things of that nature that hadn't even broke ground on their new house on the old site where the tornado's gone, or a school, for example. And I get it. There was a lot of impact across the country, and in particular here with other natural disasters. But I think they're nearing the end on the issues with the insurance. And once they do that, of course, then the money's come through, and then it's just a matter of starting to build. And the city of Mount Juliet's going to do everything we can to expedite those schools, as we did with the Green Hill High School. There's a lot of work that's went into the school officials. Unbelievable what they've had to do. But then you don't think about all the other staffers, our fire chief and the police department and our building department, stormwater, you name it. All that's got to come together, including the state of Tennessee, to get that traffic light working. Can you imagine what it'd be like without that traffic light working on Lebanon Road?
Oh, yeah.
And having that in place is super nice. And not everything will go perfect the first few days, that. But so many people work so hard just because they love this community and this county so much. And just super kudos to them. You can never thank people enough to know what some people went to get at this point. And although, again, my wife taught for 40 years and she's retired now, but I know what she would go through every year. And that she was one of your old teachers.
Absolutely.
I think of these teachers out there now that are, like my daughter-in-law, and getting ready.
Sure.
Not only they're stoked, but they're super nervous and they're tired because they just go and go and going. And important for us to continue to pray for them and lift them up and love on them, because we are super blessed with, one of the finest school systems in the country, and
right.
some of the best teachers you've ever seen, and all these kids, and we just got to love on them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, love on them, support them, do what they can. They have to make very hard decisions right now with what's happening. And some decisions you may not think is the right one, but they're really looking after the best interest of everyone involved, and they got a lot of hard ones to make. So I give it to them, and I'm just glad we have good people like Donna Wright, our director of schools, and other people there, Mickey Hall, Steve Spencer with the safety, and Kevin Dawson, the new principal at Green Hill High School, and all of our administrators and faculty at all the schools who do have to make those hard decisions, because it's not easy to make, and someone has to make the decision.
Yep, that's exactly right.
So, all right, let's see. If you have any questions, folks, this is interactive. City Manager Kenny Martin here, really to take any kind of question you have regarding the city. We'll probably be here for another 5 minutes to take those questions if we get them in. We're about at 35 minutes on our live feed, but I appreciate all the support. I see a lot of folks, Miss Martha here, just saying awesome idea. She's proud of everyone. And
thank you, Martha.
Pam drives to Hendersonville every few weeks because she loves chicken salad chick. So hopefully, Pam, we'll see if Kenny can deliver a Whataburger for me, and we'll deliver chicken salad chick for you.
That's right.
That's right. Good deal. And, Michelle talks about Crystal here and how they went out of business. But the good thing is we have a business going into Crystal, right? That Crystal parcel, which is
Hibachi Jr., which is a lot like Panda Express. If you like that, you'll like this as well. And what's even better about it, it's a success story because it's a gentleman that started out with a food truck. And to take and rent a building like that is a huge undertaking because it's not going to be cheap just to rent. Then you got to think about your modifications, upgrades, hiring staff, buying the product. And that's the American dream. When you think about what makes our community so great in this country so great, is the mom and pop businesses, the people that put everything into a business, hoping that the people out there that are watching this today and the ones that aren't will come patronize their businesses. And that's why I can never say enough about please shop your local businesses.
Right.
A lot of our neighbors are these local business owners, and guess who gives back to our community more than anybody?
They do.
Mom and pop businesses.
For sure. And, I think, you mentioned mom and pop, but when you think of these national chains, though, their owners, their operating owners there are local to our community. And I think of, Chick-fil-A, Ray Daniels.
That's exactly right.
In the community and all he does to help us, at the police department, because I know that, but I know he helps in other areas.
Oh, so many. Yeah, so many people.
A little comment here about Trader Joe's, Costco, Whole Foods,
Yes, we do actually have some of those folks looking, and we were really close on an organic grocery store before the pandemic hit. Right here close in the heart of Mount Juliet. And I still think that's going to come back, and I still think it's going to happen because it makes sense because of the demographics in Mount Juliet, and the per capita income that's out here, not only in Mount Juliet, but in all of Wilson County. It's now the second wealthiest county in the state of Tennessee. And that didn't come easy. That came from a lot of hard work from a lot of people, and the people that want to live here and want to invest in our community. And every time that somebody invests in our community, then that goes up, and we want that to continue because it continued to bless our community and takes that burden off a lot of other folks. And that's why the sales tax revenue is so important. That new sales tax increase that went into effect this year here in Wilson County really gave these teachers and educators at what I feel like is probably the best time, gave them a pay increase, much deserved pay increase. So really proud of that as well. And that doesn't come. So shop those local businesses so these teachers can make even more.
Absolutely. And Susan has I guess, commemorative statue for Charlie Daniels, and I don't think it's going to be a statue, but I think there's maybe something in the works to for Charlie and to commemorate him and honor him in our community.
It is. We're, and I don't want to say what will and won't happen, but I can tell you that we're having close conversations with Charlie Jr. and also Miss Hazel. We're respecting that their grieving period and the loss that they had, and we all miss Mr. Charlie and love him. And I can tell you that we are working with them, and hopefully we're going to be able to put in a actual museum here in our city so that people can continue to keep that memory going and have a museum right here in our city, and so people can enjoy a lot of the things that he collected over the many years of his career.
Awesome. And then one final question here about the green. They love the new greenway, and he says, are there plans to stripe the parking lot? I think that just goes back to what you were saying. There's still those fine things that need to be worked out. But there is
yeah, Andrew, we'll get the parking lot will be striped. There'll also be a few handicap parking places as well. And there'll also be parking blocks. If you go down there now, you can see where people just exiting from everywhere and driving through the grass and all that. There'll be grass seeded and sodded. There'll be parking blocks. And there'll also be, of course, the striping in the parking lot. Great. And also in the near future, as part of this Amazon project, there'll be a new greenway extension that goes down Golden Bear. And there's a 5-acre tract just about directly across the street. I want to say that I'm trying to think of the name of the street, but there'll be a trailhead and also restrooms installed there.
Wow.
Which will be really nice, and it'll extend that greenway. And then when it picks up, it'll pick up at other places. There's actually a greenway that'll be around the Amazon facility and also the Medline and things of that nature. It's in the back. People don't think to go up in there and walk it, but there's quite the greenway structure already in place there.
Okay. Very cool. Very cool. So I'll let you close it out. How about that?
I just want to thank everybody for one, tuning in on this and for being the wonderful citizens that you are. I know we don't take time to think about that sometimes, about just how truly blessed we are with all this going on. But I encourage folks to do that. Find somebody every day that you can reach out to and lift up. Try to be kinder to one another. I wanted to start this thing where we went back like it was when I first came to work here 30 some odd years ago, to where you drove down the road, you waved at somebody. But I don't want to encourage that because who knows, they may think that you're not being friendly. But just try to be nice to one another. If you're out in a parking lot at a grocery store and you don't mind grabbing a couple buggies to take it in, take them in. That saves the kids from having to go out there and bring as many in. Or if you see one that somebody pushes up on the curb, or you see somebody finishing one and you can ask them if they want you to take it back to the corral. But those little things, those random acts of kindness, we all need it right now. And I see folks talking all the time about paying it forward, and they were going through a drive-through and somebody bought their meal or did something. That is amazing, and it absolutely totally makes people's days, and it makes them realize how precious this place is. So no matter how big or small, whatever it is that you do, even if it's picking up a piece of trash, do something today, which you're already doing, but do it even more to do something that lifts somebody else's life up or helps your own or even helps your community.
Yeah, absolutely. And Kenny, it's always good to see you. I hope you have a great weekend. And to everyone watching, thank you for joining. Thank you for interacting with us. We had great questions this time. And if you can, just share this broadcast so other folks can see it and get the good information that came out today from our city manager. So with that, please have a safe weekend. If there's anything that you need whatsoever, just give us a call. We're both here to help in any way that we can. Take care, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.